In October 2019, Specialist Emma Hawkins and Specialist Tara Mitchell departed Forward Operating Base Chapman on what their unit was told was a routine supply run to Khost. Never made it. Convoy found burned, blood on the seats, bodies gone. Army said KIA, insurgent ambush, case closed. 5 years later, a SEAL team raided a compound in the mountains. Wasn't even their target. Bad intel sent them to the wrong grid. In a hidden cellar, they found U.S. Army uniforms. Female, name tapes still readable. Hawkins, Mitchell, dog tags wrapped in plastic, a bundle of letters never sent, fresh scratches on the walls, counting days. Master Sergeant Curtis Boyd got the call at 0300. His soldier's gear found in some hellhole cave. The guilt that had eaten him since that October morning turned to ice in his chest. 5 years. 5 years they'd been somewhere out there. The SEAL team commander's words echoed, "Boyd, you need to get here." There's more. Someone was in that cellar recently, very recently. Master Sergeant Curtis Boyd stood in the rain outside Fort Campbell's administrative building, the evidence box heavy in his jacket pocket. 3 weeks since the SEAL team's discovery. 3 weeks of doors slammed in his face. 3 weeks of, "Let it go, Sergeant." His hands shook as he lit another cigarette. Not from the cold. Inside that box, 2 uniforms, blood-stained but folded neat. Dog tags that should have been around their necks when they died. Letters in Tara's handwriting, and something that made his throat close up every time. Scratch marks on a piece of concrete they'd cut from the wall. Hundreds of tiny lines. Days, months, years. The door opened behind him. Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Sharp, military intelligence, the 4th officer he'd tried to see this week. "Sergeant Boyd." Her voice carried that tone he'd heard too often lately. Exhaustion mixed with pity. "We've been over this." "Ma'am, with respect, we haven't been over anything." Boyd turned, rain dripping from his patrol cap. Those scratches were fresh. Someone was counting days in that cellar 2 weeks ago. "My soldiers." "Your soldiers died 5 years ago." "Then who was counting days?" Sharp's jaw tightened. Could have been anyone. Insurgents use those caves. Insurgents who wear U.S. Army uniforms with name tapes? Boyd pulled out his phone, swiped to the photos he'd been sent. Insurgents who write letters to Diane Mitchell in perfect English? Insurgents who scratch 1,826 lines on a wall. That's 5 years exactly, Colonel. 5 years. Sharp looked at the photos longer than she should have if she really believed they meant nothing. Her fingers drummed against her leg, a nervous tell Boyd had noticed in their previous meetings. "The SEAL team did a full sweep," she said finally. "No one was there. Because they weren't looking for anyone. Wrong grid coordinates, remember? They stumbled onto this by accident." Boyd stepped closer, close enough to see the rain collecting on her eyelashes. "What if they're still alive? What if Emma and Tara are out there somewhere and we're sitting here?" "Stop!" Sharp's voice cracked. "Just stop. You think you're the only one who wants them to be alive? I knew Mitchell. She was a good soldier. But the blood in that convoy, the amount... They never found bodies. In that region? Animals, weather, insurgents taking them for propaganda. There are a dozen explanations." Boyd reached into the evidence box, pulled out a small plastic bag. Inside, a St. Christopher medallion on a silver chain. Emma never took this off. Ever. Her grandmother gave it to her before basic training, said it would keep her safe. Sharp stared at the medallion. "It was in the cellar," Boyd continued, "along with this. Another bag, a wedding ring, inscription visible through the plastic. Tara's husband gave her this 2 weeks before deployment. She'd spin it when she was nervous, made this little clicking sound against her rifle. Items can be taken from bodies. The blood on Tara's uniform." Boyd's voice dropped. "It's not 5 years old. Lab tech owed me a favor, ran a test. That blood is maybe 6 months old. Type A positive, Tara's blood type." Sharp went very still. "Someone's been keeping them," Boyd said. "Moving them, maybe. Using them for..." Christ, I don't even want to think about what for. But one of them was bleeding 6 months ago. One of them was counting days 2 weeks ago. And we're going to stand here and pretend I can't authorize anything based on scratches and bloodstains. Sharp's words came out rehearsed, but her eyes said something different. You know that. Chain of command, intelligence protocols. Fuck protocols. The words exploded out of him. Those are my soldiers. Were your soldiers, and you weren't even supposed to be shown that evidence. The SEAL team commander broke about 15 regulations sending you those photos. Boyd laughed, bitter and sharp. Jake Morrison. Yeah, he broke regulations, because he knew I'd been looking for them, because he found their gear in a cave that wasn't supposed to exist, in an area we were told was cleared 5 years ago. Something shifted in Sharp's expression. Morrison? The SEAL team commander was Jake Morrison? Yeah, so? Sharp pulled out her phone, typed something quickly. Her face went pale as she read. Jake Morrison, married to Tara Mitchell in 2019, divorced in absentia after she was declared KIA. The rain seemed to get louder. Boyd felt his chest go tight. He never said. He wouldn't. Sharp looked up from her phone. Jesus Christ, he found his wife's things in that cave and didn't say anything? Maybe he did. Maybe that's why I got the photos. Maybe. Boyd stopped. Thought about Morrison's voice on the phone, controlled but strange. The way he'd said to come alone. The way he'd emphasized that the official report would say the cellar was empty. Sharp was already walking toward the building. Get in the car. What? Get in the goddamn car, Sergeant. We're going to see Morrison. If Tara Mitchell's husband found evidence she was alive and didn't report it through proper channels, then either he knows something or... She paused at the door. Or he's planning something. Boyd followed her, his mind racing. The scratches on the wall. 1,826 days. But some scratches looked different, newer. The last 50 or so, scratched with something else. Something sharper. Colonel, he said as they reached her vehicle. Those letters in the evidence. The ones in Tara's handwriting. What about them? They were all addressed to her mother. All dated within the last year. But one. He pulled out his phone, found the photo. One was addressed to Jake. No date, just said, if you find this. Sharp started the engine. What did it say? Boyd read from the photo, his voice catching. Jake, if you find this, know I never stopped loving you. Know I fought. Know Emma is stronger than any of us thought. And know that what they're planning, we tried to stop it. We tried. Look for the water station at grid 247.3, October 20th. They think we don't understand, but we do. Please forgive me. Forever, T. Sharp slammed on the brakes before they'd even left the parking lot. October 20th, that's 3 days from now. Boyd gripped the door handle. Whatever Tara was trying to warn about, it's happening in 3 days? Sharp grabbed her secure phone, started dialing. We need to find Morrison. Now? And Boyd? She looked at him as the phone rang. If your soldiers are alive, if they've been held for 5 years and managed to get a warning out, then someone on our side has been lying about a lot more than just their deaths. The phone connected. Sharp started talking fast, using code words Boyd didn't recognize. But he wasn't listening anymore. He was thinking about Emma and Tara out there somewhere, thinking about scratches on a wall, thinking about fresh blood on old uniforms, thinking about how Jake Morrison, Navy SEAL, had found his wife's wedding ring and letters in a cave, and instead of reporting it, had sent the evidence to Boyd, secretly, urgently, like he was planning a rescue, like he knew exactly where to look, like maybe those wrong grid coordinates weren't wrong at all. The drive to Morrison's off-base apartment took 40 minutes. Boyd spent them staring at the photos on his phone, zooming in on details. The scratches bothered him. Different tools, different depths. The first 1,000 or so were uniform, fingernail, maybe a small rock. Then they changed. Sharper. Desperate. Sharp had been on her secure phone the entire drive, voice low and tense. When she finally hung up, her knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Morrison took emergency leave yesterday, she said. Told his command he had a family emergency. Tara was his family. Was. Past tense. That's what has me worried. Sharp took a turn too fast, tires squealing. He's been running unauthorized searches for 2 years, satellite time he shouldn't have access to, drone footage from grids that were supposed to be clear. Someone in NSA caught it last month, but hadn't filed the report yet. Boyd felt something cold settle in his stomach. He knew. He knew they were alive before he found that cellar. Maybe. Or maybe he just never stopped looking. Sharp pulled into an apartment complex, all identical buildings and dead lawns. Building C, apartment 314. Morrison's door was unlocked. Not broken, not forced. Just unlocked. The apartment looked like someone had left in the middle of breakfast. Coffee still in the pot, now cold. Bowl of cereal on the counter, milk curdled. But the walls, Christ, the walls, maps everywhere. Afghanistan, Pakistan border regions. Red pins, blue pins, string connecting them like a conspiracy theorist's fever dream. Photos printed from satellites, grainy but marked with careful annotations. And in the center, 2 official Army photos. Emma Hawkins and Tara Mitchell in their Class A uniforms, smiling. Jesus, Sharp whispered. Boyd moved closer to the maps. Each pin had a date, sighting reports maybe, rumors. One cluster near the original ambush site, spreading out like an infection over months, years. The trail led north, into the mountains. Look at this. Sharp stood by Morrison's desk, holding a notebook. He's been tracking someone. Multiple someones. She read aloud. October 2019, initial capture. Moved north. November 2019, safe house, Khost Mountains. December 2019. Split, 2 locations reported. Emma east, Tara west, can't confirm. Boyd found another notebook, this one more recent. Morrison's handwriting got worse as the pages went on, like he'd been writing faster, more desperate. July 2024. Source says 2 American women still alive. Healing camp? Translation unclear. August 2024. Tara sick. Emma taking care of her. Guard talked about the one who fights and the one who prays. September 2024. Movement detected grid 247.3. Water station confirmed. Grid 247.3. Boyd looked up. That's from Tara's letter. Sharp was already on her phone again, pulling up classified maps. That's outside any area we patrol. Completely dark territory. No oversight, no surveillance, no... She stopped. It's perfect. You could hide an army there. Something else caught Boyd's eye. A medical report, half hidden under other papers. Not official, just handwritten notes. He recognized the terminology from combat lifesaver training. Subject 1. Malnutrition, various stages healing. Broken ribs, aged approximately 6 months. Scarring consistent with repeated trauma. Subject 2. Advanced infection, possibly tuberculosis. Kidney failure likely. Without treatment, estimate 3 to 6 months survival. The date on the notes? 2 months ago. Tara's dying, Boyd said quietly. That's why the blood was fresh. She's dying and Emma's watching it happen. Sharp found something else. Photos. These not from satellites, but from ground level. Blurry, taken from distance. A water station, just like Tara's letter described. Trucks arriving at night, armed men. And in one photo, barely visible, 2 figures in the back of a truck, smaller than the men around them, one supporting the other. These were taken last week, Sharp said. Morrison was there? He found them. Then where is he now? Boyd's phone rang, unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but Sharp nodded. Boyd here? You need to listen very carefully. Morrison's voice, controlled but underneath it, something raw. I know Sharp's with you. I know you're in my apartment. And I know you found my research. Jake, where? Shut up and listen. In approximately 60 hours, there's going to be a prisoner exchange at that water station. Not official, nothing our government knows about. Local warlord trading some captured fighters for weapons. But that's not what matters. A pause. They're moving their other prisoners at the same time, including 2 American women they've been keeping as insurance. Boyd put the phone on speaker. Sharp leaned in. "How do you know this?" she asked. "Because I've been tracking them for 2 years. Because I paid informants everything I had. Because 3 weeks ago, one of those informants brought me proof." His voice cracked slightly. "A letter in Tara's handwriting. She knew I was looking. Somehow she knew." "We can mobilize a team," Sharp started. "No." Morrison's voice went hard. "You mobilize anything official, they'll know. They have sources everywhere. The women will disappear again, and this time we won't find them." Another pause. "Or they'll just kill them." "So what's your plan?" Boyd asked, though he already knew. "I've got a small team. People I trust. People who owe me favors. We're going to be at that water station. We're going to get them out." "That's suicide," Sharp said. "You don't know how many—" 40 to 50 fighters, based on my surveillance. Heavy weapons. 2 checkpoints before the water station. Guard rotation every 4 hours. Morrison rattled off the intelligence like he was briefing a mission. "Prisoners are kept in an underground storage area. 2 entrances. They move them at dawn for bathroom breaks." Boyd stared at the maps on the walls. All those pins, all those dates. 2 years of searching. "Tara's sick," he said. "The medical report—" "I know." Morrison's voice went quiet. "TB? Kidney failure? Probably a dozen other things. She might not survive extraction, but Emma's still strong. She's been keeping Tara alive through pure fucking will." "How do you know all this?" "Because I've been paying the doctor who treats them." "Not because he's kind, because he likes American money." Bitter laugh. "He's the one who told me about October 20th. Big movement, perfect chaos to use as cover." Sharp grabbed the phone. "Chief Morrison, I'm ordering you to stand down. We'll handle this through proper—" "With all due respect, Colonel, fuck your proper channels." Morrison's controls slipped. "Proper channels left them there for 5 years. Proper channels declared them KIA. Proper channels gave me a folded flag and told me to move on." "Jake," Boyd started, "I'm going to that water station. With or without backup, with or without permission. I found my wife, Boyd. I found her, and she's dying, and she still managed to get word to me. Still fighting, still protecting Emma." His voice broke completely. "I left her there for 5 years. I'm not leaving her for 5 more days." The line went quiet. Boyd could hear Morrison breathing, ragged. "The letter," Boyd said finally. "The one addressed to you. What else did it say?" Long pause. When Morrison spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. "She said Emma keeps her warm at night. Says they share stories about home, about us. Said Emma talks about Montana, about her parents' ranch, about the horses she grew up with. Said that's what keeps them human." Another pause. "Said to tell Emma's family she never stopped fighting, never stopped trying to get home." Boyd thought about the scratches on the wall. Each one a day survived, a day fought through. "We're coming with you," he said. "Boyd, no," Sharp started. "Those are my soldiers, ma'am. I was responsible for them. I should have been on that convoy." The guilt he'd carried for 5 years crystallized into something harder, sharper. "I'm going," Morrison laughed, short and bitter. "Your career—" "Fuck my career." Sharp looked between the phone and Boyd, then at the walls covered in maps. The photos of Emma and Tara in uniform, young and smiling. She rubbed her face. 60 hours, she said finally. "That's not enough time to go through channels anyway." She picked up one of Morrison's notebooks. "How many people do you have?" 6 SEALs, all volunteers, all know the risks." "Make it 8, Sharp said. "Boyd and I are coming." "Unofficial. If this goes wrong, we were never there." "Colonel," Morrison sounded shocked. "I've been pushing paper for 3 years, Chief. Before that, I was in the field for 15. I know my way around a rifle." She studied the map. Besides, someone needs to make sure you cowboys don't start World War III. Boyd picked up the photo from the water station, the blurry image of two figures supporting each other. What's Emma like now? The doctor? What does he say? Morrison was quiet for a moment. Survivor. That's what he calls her. Says she sings to Tara when the fever's bad, holds her when she coughs blood, fights anyone who tries to separate them. Pause. Says she's the reason Tara's lasted this long. Pure stubborn refusal to let her die. Boyd set down the photo. Thought about Emma, that farm girl from Montana who'd joined his unit straight from basic. Quiet, competent, always checking on other soldiers, always making sure everyone ate, everyone had water, everyone was okay, still taking care of others, even in hell. Where do we meet? He asked. Morrison gave them coordinates, timing, equipment list, professional, precise. At the end, his voice changed again. Boyd. That letter, there was one more thing. Tara wrote that Emma made her promise something. If only one of them made it out, it had to be Emma. Said Emma had to get home, had to tell their story, had to make sure people knew they never gave up. Boyd's throat tightened. We're getting them both out. Yeah. Morrison didn't sound convinced. Yeah, we are. After he hung up, Boyd and Sharp stood in the apartment, surrounded by 2 years of obsessive searching, all those pins, all those dates. Morrison had never stopped looking, never accepted their deaths. We could lose everything, Sharp said quietly. Our careers, our pensions, maybe our lives. Boyd thought about the scratches on the wall, 1,826 days, each one a testament to survival, to refusal to give up. They never gave up on us, he said, even when we gave up on them. Sharp nodded, started taking photos of Morrison's maps with her phone. We'll need these, and weapons, and a medic for Tara. You really think she'll make it? Sharp paused in her photographing. I think Emma Hawkins has kept her alive for 5 years through sheer determination. I'm not betting against her now. Boyd picked up the photo of them in uniform again. Young faces, bright eyes. No idea what was coming. He tucked it into his pocket. 60 hours. 3 days to plan an illegal rescue in hostile territory with a team of rogue SEALs. 3 days to save 2 soldiers everyone else had written off as dead. 3 days to bring them home. The abandoned warehouse outside Fort Campbell smelled like rust and bird shit. Boyd arrived at 0200, found Morrison and his team already there. 6 SEALs in civilian clothes, checking weapons with practiced efficiency. They looked up when Boyd entered, nodded, went back to work. Morrison stood over a table covered in satellite photos. He'd lost weight since Boyd had last seen him. Dark circles, 3-day beard, that 1,000-yard stare Boyd recognized from his own mirror. Thought you might not come, Morrison said without looking up. Thought about it. Boyd set down his gear bag. Then I remembered Emma's first day in my unit. Barely 5'4", maybe 100 pounds soaked. Some jackass corporal said she was too small for combat arms. She just looked at him and said, I'm not here to be big. I'm here to be good. Morrison's mouth twitched, not quite a smile. Tara said something similar first day of AIT. Instructor asked why she joined. Said, someone's got to keep you boys from doing something stupid. Guess she was right. Yeah. Morrison pointed to the photos. Updated intel. Guard positions here, here, and here. They moved a technical vehicle to this ridge yesterday, 50 cal mount. Sharp arrived 20 minutes later with a medic, Staff Sergeant Rodriguez. Former Special Operations combat medic, did 3 tours in Syria. She didn't explain how she'd convinced him to come. Rodriguez just started laying out medical supplies, organizing them with grim efficiency. Tuberculosis, kidney failure, malnutrition, he said, checking items off a list. How mobile is she? Unknown, Morrison replied. Assume non-ambulatory. Then we'll need a litter, maybe IV support during movement. Rodriguez held up a bag of saline. This shit's heavy. Who's carrying? I will, Boyd said immediately. Morrison spread out a hand-drawn map. Not official, probably bought from his informants. Every building at the water station marked, every approach route, every potential hide. Two-phase operation, he began. Phase 1, infiltration. We go in vehicle, disguised as arms dealers. I've got a contact who's setting up our cover. 3 trucks, weathered enough to blend in. Weapons in crates, but accessible. Phase 2? Sharp asked. Organized chaos. Morrison pointed to the main compound. The prisoner exchange happens here at 0600. Maximum confusion, everyone focused on the trade. That's when we hit the underground storage. 2 teams, assault and extraction. Assault creates diversion here. Extraction goes for Emma and Tara here. One of the SEALS, Peters, raised a hand. Rules of engagement? Morrison's jaw tightened. Weapons free once we're compromised. But quiet as long as possible. Some of these fighters are just local militia, forced conscripts. Kids, some of them. And if we encounter the principals? The ones who've been holding them? Morrison's eyes went dark. Those are mine. Nobody argued. Boyd studied the extraction route. That's a lot of open ground between the storage and the vehicles. 300 meters, Morrison confirmed. Under fire if we're compromised. That's why speed matters. Get in, get them, get out. No hesitation. What about the other prisoners? Sharp asked. The fighter exchange. There might be others held with Emma and Tara. Morrison paused. The room went quiet. Mission priority is our people, he said finally. But if we can... He rubbed his face. We'll make the call on site. They spent 4 hours rehearsing. Movement patterns, contingencies, medical procedures. Rodriguez showed them how to carry a litter under fire, how to maintain IV lines while running. Morrison drilled them on the guard positions until everyone could navigate the compound blindfolded. At 600, they took a break. Boyd stepped outside, found Morrison smoking by the loading dock. You okay? Boyd asked. Morrison laughed, sharp and bitter. My wife's been tortured for 5 years while I was sitting at home, filing for divorce because I thought she was dead. So no, I'm not fucking okay. It's not your fault. Isn't it? Morrison flicked his cigarette. I was stationed at Bagram when they disappeared, 90 minutes by helicopter. If I'd pushed harder, demanded to join the search. You didn't know. I should have. Morrison pulled out a worn photo, not Tara in uniform, but at their wedding, laughing, cake smeared on Jake's nose. She made me promise once. If anything happened, don't stop looking. Made it sound like a joke, you know? Promise you won't replace me too quick, she said. I promised. Then I replaced her anyway. Started dating 6 months after the memorial. Boyd didn't know what to say to that. The new girlfriend, Sarah, she was nice. Normal, never been shot at, never seen someone die. Didn't wake up screaming. Morrison pocketed the photo. Tara woke up screaming sometimes. Iraq did something to her. She'd grab me in her sleep, hold on like I might disappear. Jake? I should have known she was alive. Should have felt it. Morrison lit another cigarette with shaking hands. What kind of husband doesn't know his wife is alive? Before Boyd could answer, Peters appeared in the doorway. Boss, we got a problem. Inside, Sharp was on her satellite phone, face pale. She hung up, looked at Morrison. Intelligence chatter. Something big moving toward that water station. Not the prisoner exchange. Something else. CIA's picked up traffic about the American women, specifically. Morrison went still. They know we're coming? No, but someone else might be interested in them now. The chatter suggests they've become more valuable, maybe as propaganda, maybe as leverage for something bigger. Rodriguez looked up from his medical gear. If they move them before we get there... They won't, Morrison said firmly. The exchange is set. Too many moving parts to change now. But his hands clenched into fists. Boyd walked to the table with the satellite photos. One showed the water station at night, thermal imaging, hot spots indicating people. He counted 43 signatures. In the underground storage area, 2 signatures set apart from the others. Closer together than bodies would normally be unless... They're keeping each other warm, he said quietly. Everyone looked at the photo. 2 heat signatures pressed together in the cold underground. Emma and Tara, 5 years later, still protecting each other. All right, Morrison said, voice steady again. We stick to the plan, but we move up the timeline. Leave in 6 hours instead of 12. I want to be in position before dawn tomorrow. Watch the patterns. Make sure nothing's changed." "That's risky," one of the SEALs said. "Sitting in hostile territory that long." "Everything about this is risky." Morrison looked around the room. "Anyone wants out? Now's the time." Nobody moved. Sharp's phone buzzed again. She checked it, frowned. "Boyd, someone's looking for you. Your sister, apparently. Says it's urgent. Boyd's sister lived in Montana, helped run the family ranch. She never called unless—" "Emma's parents?" he asked. Sharp listened to something on the phone. "Your sister says Emma's mother is in the hospital. Heart problems. Asking about Emma, wanting to know if there's any news." The room went quiet again. Boyd thought about Emma's parents, the letters they'd sent him over the years. Always polite, always hopeful. "Any word on our girl?" they'd ask. He'd always had to say no. "Tell them." Boyd started, then stopped. Couldn't promise what might not happen. "Tell them to hold on, just a little longer." Morrison walked to the wall where he'd pinned up the photos of Emma and Tara. Touched Tara's face gently. 27 hours, he said. 27 hours, and we bring them home. Peters started checking weapons again. Rodriguez reorganized medical supplies. Sharp made more calls, arranging safe houses for after the extraction. Everyone preparing, everyone focused. Boyd looked at the thermal image again. 2 heat signatures in the dark. He thought about the scratches on the wall, each one a day survived. Thought about Emma singing to Tara through the fever. Thought about promises made and kept and broken. He pulled out his phone, found the photo of Emma's St. Christopher medallion. Her grandmother's gift, meant to keep her safe. It hadn't protected her from capture, from 5 years of hell. But maybe it had done something else. Maybe it had kept her human, kept her fighting, kept her taking care of Tara when everything else was lost. "We're coming," he said quietly to the photo. "Hold on." "We're coming." Morrison heard him, nodded. Phase 1 begins at 1400. Everyone rest until then. Eat, hydrate. He paused. "And if you're the praying type, now would be good." Boyd wasn't the praying type. Hadn't been since Afghanistan, since he'd seen too much to believe in a God who gave a damn. But looking at that thermal image, those 2 bodies holding each other in the dark, he found himself whispering words he hadn't said in years. "Please, let them survive this. Let us get there in time. Let Emma's strength be enough for both of them." The warehouse fell quiet as everyone found their own space to prepare, to think, to steel themselves for what was coming. In 27 hours, they'd either be heroes or corpses, either bringing home 2 soldiers who'd survived the impossible or dying in the attempt. Boyd cleaned his rifle, checked his magazines, organized his gear. Repetitive motions, muscle memory. The same things he'd done before 100 missions. But this one felt different. Personal. "I'm sorry," he said to the empty air, to Emma and Tara, wherever they were. "I'm sorry we left you there. I'm sorry it took so long, but we're coming now. Hold on." Outside, dawn was breaking over Kentucky. Somewhere in the mountains between Afghanistan and Pakistan, in an underground storage room, 2 women were watching their 1827th sunrise in captivity. Tomorrow, if Morrison's plan worked, would be their last. Tomorrow they were going home, one way or another. The truck smelled like goat shit and diesel. Boyd sat in the back of the second vehicle, AK-47 across his lap, watching the mountains grow larger through the dust-covered window. They'd crossed into hostile territory 3 hours ago. Every checkpoint, every curious look from locals made his finger twitch toward the trigger. Morrison rode in the lead vehicle with 2 SEALs, Sharp and Rodriguez in the third, all of them dressed like arms dealers, worn military surplus, week-old beards, that particular swagger of men who sold death for profit. The radio crackled. Morrison's voice, calm. "Checkpoint ahead." 2 guards, maybe more in the building. Boyd pulled the keffiyeh higher around his face. Peters, sitting across from him, did the same. Their driver, an Afghan informant Morrison trusted, slowed the truck. The guards looked bored, One barely glanced at the forged papers before waving them through. Too easy. Boyd's neck prickled, that feeling when things were about to go sideways. They stopped 5 kilometers from the water station, hidden in a wadi where flash floods had carved deep channels in the rock. Morrison gathered everyone around a handheld GPS. "Sun sets in 3 hours," he said. "We go in after dark, set up observation posts here and here. Watch the patterns tonight, confirm the intel." "Still think they'll stick to the timeline?" Sharp asked. "They have to. Too many buyers coming for the weapons exchange." Morrison checked his watch. "But something feels off." Boyd felt it too. The mountains were too quiet. No shepherds, no travelers. Like everyone knew to stay away. They waited for nightfall, checking equipment, reviewing positions. Rodriguez went over the medical procedures again, how to stabilize Tara quickly, how to move her without causing more damage. "Tuberculosis means her lungs are shit," he said bluntly. "Every movement could cause bleeding. We'll need to be gentle, but fast." At 2100, they moved out on foot, 3 kilometers through rough terrain, night vision turning the world green and grainy. Boyd's pack weighed 60 pounds, ammunition, water, medical supplies. His knees screamed by the time they reached the observation point. The water station sprawled below them, bigger than the satellite photo suggested. Main building, 6 outbuildings, the underground storage entrance barely visible. Lights everywhere, generators humming. Guards walking lazy patterns. Morrison set up the spotting scope. 47 fighters visible, 3 technicals. That's more than... He stopped. Fuck. Boyd took the scope, saw what Morrison had seen. New vehicles arriving from the north, not buyers for the weapons. Military vehicles, not American, but professional, organized. "Who the hell?" Sharp whispered. The new arrivals set up a perimeter, disciplined, efficient. One man stood out, tall, wearing clean fatigues instead of the mismatched gear of militia. He walked like an officer. Morrison's informant, Khalid, crawled up beside them. "Pakistani ISI," he whispered. "Intelligence service, very bad." "What do they want?" "The women." Word spread about American prisoners. I wants them for trade. Big leverage against your government." Boyd's stomach dropped. If Pakistani intelligence took Emma and Tara, they'd disappear into a black site. No rescue possible. Ever. "When?" Morrison asked. "Tomorrow, after morning prayer, before the weapons exchange." Morrison looked at his watch. 0230, morning prayer at 0500. 2.5 hours. "We go now," he said. "That's insane," Peters protested. "No reconnaissance. No—" "We don't have a choice." Morrison's voice was steel. "They move those women. We lose them forever." Sharp was already on the radio, calling in the other teams. Rodriguez started prepping trauma bags for immediate use. "New plan," Morrison said. "No subtlety. We hit hard, hit fast. Boyd, your team takes the storage entrance. My team provides cover. Sharp's team secures the vehicles for extraction." "Rules of engagement?" Boyd asked. "Anyone between us and them dies." They moved down the mountain in silence. Boyd's heart hammered against his ribs. This wasn't a rescue anymore. It was a raid, the kind that usually ended with bodies. 500 meters out, they split up. Boyd's team, himself, Peters, and Ramirez, circled toward the storage entrance. 2 guards there, smoking cigarettes, rifles slung carelessly. Boyd lined up the shot. Smooth trigger pull. The guard dropped. Peters took the second one before he could shout. The entrance was a metal hatch like an old storm cellar, locked from outside with a chain. Boyd cut it with bolt cutters, winced at the metallic snap that seemed to echo off the mountains. Inside, concrete steps led down into darkness. The smell hit immediately. Piss, shit, blood, decay. Human misery concentrated into an assault on the senses. Boyd switched to night vision, moved down the stairs. Peters and Ramirez behind him, covering angles. At the bottom, a corridor, doors on both sides, most open and empty. At the end, one closed door with a padlock. They moved forward, checking corners. Boyd's finger on the trigger, every nerve screaming. The closed door got closer. Behind it, he could hear something. Crying, talking, singing, soft, hoarse, barely audible. A lullaby? one his grandmother used to sing. "Hush, little baby, don't you cry." Emma's voice. After 5 years, he recognized Emma's voice. Boyd shot the lock off, kicked the door open. The smell nearly knocked him back. Infection, waste, death, hovering. His night vision showed 2 figures huddled in the corner, one sitting up, cradling the other, both in filthy rags that might once have been uniforms. Emma? The singing stopped. The sitting figure's head turned. Through the night vision, he saw a face that barely looked human. Sunken cheeks, cracked lips, eyes huge in a skeletal face. "No," she whispered. "No, you're not real." Not again. Boyd pulled off his night vision, turned on his flashlight. "Emma, it's Boyd." "Sergeant Boyd, we're here to take you home." Emma flinched from the light, drew the other figure closer protectively. Tara, unconscious, breathing in wet, rattling gasps. "Boyd's dead," Emma said. "Everyone's dead. You're just another dream." "I'm not dead. I'm here. We're getting you out." Peters and Ramirez entered, immediately covering the door. Rodriguez pushed past them, went straight to Tara, started checking vitals, his face grim. Emma watched him touch Tara, and something snapped in her. She lunged, feral, nails going for his eyes. "Don't touch her! Don't you fucking touch her!" Boyd caught her, felt how light she was, like holding a bird. "Emma, stop. He's a medic. He's helping." She fought him, weaker than a child, but fierce. "They said that before. Said they were helping. Then they—" She broke off, shuddering. "Emma." Boyd made his voice command sharp. "Specialist Hawkins, look at me. Training kicked in, maybe." She stopped fighting, looked at him. Really looked. Her hand came up, touched his face like she was checking if he was solid. "Boyd?" Barely a whisper. "Yeah, soldier." "It's me." She started crying, horrible dry sobs because she probably had no moisture left for tears. "We tried to escape. Tried so many times, but Tara got sick and I couldn't carry her far enough, and—" Gunfire erupted outside, Morrison's team engaging. "We need to move," Peters said. "Now." Rodriguez had an IV in Tara's arm, was preparing a litter. "She's in bad shape. Kidney failure, severe dehydration, TB advanced to—" "Can she survive transport?" Boyd cut him off. "Maybe. If we're fast." Boyd lifted Emma. She weighed nothing, maybe 80 pounds. Peters and Ramirez got Tara on the litter. "The others," Emma said suddenly. "The other prisoners." 3 kids in the next room. Local boys. "Please." Boyd looked at Peters, who was already moving. Found the boys, teenagers, beaten but mobile. Gestured for them to follow. They moved up the stairs into chaos. The compound was a battlefield. Muzzle flashes, tracers, someone screaming. Morrison's team had positioned on high ground, laying down suppressing fire. The ISI forces were returning fire, disciplined and effective. "Move!" Boyd shouted. They ran, Emma in his arms, Peters and Ramirez carrying Tara, the 3 boys following. Bullets snapped past, kicked up dirt. Someone was shouting in Pashto. An RPG exploded against a building to their left. Sharp's team had the trucks running. Boyd threw Emma into the back of one, jumped in after her. Peters and Ramirez loaded Tara, Rodriguez still working on her, pumping bag after bag of saline. "Where's Morrison?" Boyd shouted. "Still covering." Sharp gunned the engine. "We leave in 30 seconds, with or without—" Morrison's team came running, all but Morrison. "Where is he?" Sharp demanded. "Went after someone," Peters gasped. "Said 5 minutes." "We don't have—" An explosion. The building Morrison had entered erupted in flame. Boyd saw a figure stumble out, carrying something. Morrison, his arm hanging wrong, carrying a box. He made it to the truck, collapsed in. "Go! Go!" Sharp floored it. The 3 trucks tore out of the compound, RPGs exploding behind them. Boyd held Emma as she curled against him, her fingers digging into his vest. "Is this real?" she kept asking. "Is this real?" In the other corner, Rodriguez worked frantically on Tara. Her breathing was getting worse, blood on her lips. Morrison crawled to her, took her hand with his, good one. "Baby, it's Jake. Can you hear me? We got you. We're going home." Tara's eyes flickered open, unfocused, glazed with fever, but she squeezed his hand. "Jake?" Barely audible over the engine. "Yeah, baby, I'm here." "Emma?" "She's safe." Boyd's got her. Tara smiled, just a little. "Kept my promise, kept her alive." "You did." "You did so good." Boyd watched them, this reunion 5 years delayed. Morrison crying openly, Tara fighting for each breath. Emma had crawled over, taken Tara's other hand. "Stay," Emma begged. "Please stay." "You can't leave now, not when we're so close." But Boyd could see what Rodriguez already knew. Tara was dying. 5 years of fighting, of surviving, and her body had nothing left. They drove through the night, Rodriguez doing everything possible. But an hour from the border, Tara's breathing stopped. Morrison tried CPR. Rodriguez pushed more drugs. Emma screamed, begged, promised Tara anything if she'd just breathe. Nothing worked. Tara Mitchell died free, holding her husband's hand, with Emma singing that same lullaby she'd probably sung 1,000 times in that cell. The trucks kept driving toward safety, toward home. But they were bringing back only one of the 2 soldiers they'd come for. The safe house was a farmhouse 40 kilometers inside friendly territory. Boyd carried Emma inside, while Morrison refused to let go of Tara's body. He sat in the truck bed, cradling her, whispering apologies that nobody could bear to hear. Emma wouldn't leave Tara either. When Rodriguez tried to examine her, she fought him until Boyd let her go back to the truck. She climbed in beside Morrison, took Tara's cold hand. "She's getting cold," Emma said. "She hates being cold. We need more blankets." Morrison pulled off his jacket, wrapped it around Tara's still form. Emma tucked it carefully, like she'd done this 1,000 times before. Sharp stood at the farmhouse door, satellite phone pressed to her ear, arguing with someone about extraction. The local Afghan family who owned the place stayed hidden upstairs, paid well to see nothing. Rodriguez approached Boyd. "Emma needs immediate treatment. Severe malnutrition, dehydration, infected wounds, and mentally—" He glanced at the truck. "She's not processing that Tara's gone. Give her time." "We don't have time." ISI forces are mobilizing. We need to move to the extraction point." Boyd walked to the truck. Emma was telling Tara a story about Montana, about the horses on her family's ranch. Her voice hollow, automatic, like she'd told these stories so many times they'd worn grooves in her mind. "Emma," Boyd said gently, "we need to get you looked at." "Can't leave her alone." "She gets scared when she's alone." Morrison looked up, eyes red and swollen. "It's okay, Emma. I'll stay with her. You promise?" "You won't let them take her?" "I promise." Emma kissed Tara's forehead, whispered something Boyd couldn't hear, then let him help her down from the truck. Her legs barely held her weight. Inside, Rodriguez had set up a makeshift medical station. Emma sat passively as he started IVS cleaned wounds, burns on her arms, some old, some recent, scars everywhere. When Rodriguez lifted her shirt to check her ribs, Boyd had to look away. Her back was a map of torture. "How long?" Rodriguez asked quietly. "How long have they been hurting you?" Emma stared at the wall. They stopped counting after 1,000 days. Tara kept track, though. Little marks on the wall. She said we needed to know, for when we got home, so we could tell exactly how long. Her voice cracked. She was going to tell Jake everything. Every single day, so he'd know she never stopped thinking about him. Rodriguez kept working. Antibiotics, fluids, pain medication Emma refused to take. "Makes me fuzzy," she said. "Need to stay sharp. Watch for them." "You're safe now," Boyd told her. Emma laughed, bitter and sharp. "Said that before, when the Rangers came, but it wasn't Rangers, just them, pretending, testing us." She pulled her knees to her chest. "Tara figured it out. The accents were wrong, saved us from saying too much." Sharp entered. "Extraction in 3 hours, helicopter to Bagram, then medical transport to Landstuhl." She paused. "Emma, your parents are waiting in Germany." Emma's whole body jerked. "My parents think I'm dead." "No," Boyd told them yesterday. They know you're coming home." Emma turned to Boyd, and for the first time since finding her, he saw the girl who'd joined his unit 6 years ago. Young, scared, but holding it together. "Mama's okay. Daddy? Your mom's been sick, but she's stable. Waiting for you." Emma nodded, then suddenly grabbed Boyd's arm. The box. Morrison had a box. When he came out of that building, Boyd had forgotten. Found Morrison still in the truck with Tara, the box beside him. Metal, locked, covered in dried blood. Morrison looked up. "The commander's office. Found this in his safe." He handed it over. "Haven't opened it." Boyd broke the lock with his knife. Inside, passports, documents, USB drives, and photographs. Dozens of them. Emma and Tara at various stages of captivity. Some from early on, still in uniform, defiant. Others showing the progression of starvation, illness, torture. But in every photo where they were together, they were touching, holding hands, embracing, supporting each other. One photo made Boyd's hands shake. Recent, based on how thin they were. Tara obviously sick, lying with her head in Emma's lap. Emma singing, based on her expression. Tara smiling despite everything. Love in hell. Morrison took that photo, held it against his chest. She smiled. Even there, she could still smile. Emma had come outside, Rodriguez's IVs rolling beside her. She saw the photos scattered on the truck bed. "They like to document," she said flatly. Said someday they'd show the world how they broke the American women. She picked up one photo, early in their captivity. "But they never broke us? Hurt us? Starved us? Did things I can't?" She stopped. "But we never broke." Tara made sure of that. "How?" Sharp asked softly. Emma sat on the truck's tailgate, her hand finding Tara's. She said we were still soldiers. Still had a mission. Our mission was to survive and go home. Every day we stayed alive was a victory. Every day we stayed human was winning. She traced Tara's wedding ring, still on her finger. "First year, I wanted to die. Begged her to let me give up. She wouldn't let me. Said I had to get home, tell people what happened, make sure they knew we never surrendered." Peters appeared. "Movement on the perimeter. Vehicles maybe 3 kilometers out. Pack up," Sharp commanded. "We move now." Morrison stood. "I'm not leaving her." "We'll bring her," Sharp promised. "She comes home with us." They loaded quickly. Emma insisted on riding with Tara's body. Morrison and Boyd flanked her, weapons ready. The convoy moved fast through the dawn light, racing toward the extraction point. Emma talked the whole way, not to them, to Tara, telling her about the helicopter coming, about going home, about how Jake was there, and Boyd and everyone who'd searched for them. "Remember we talked about this?" she said to Tara's still form. "What we'd do when we got home? You were going to see Jake. I was going to see the horses. We were going to testify, make sure everyone knew." Her voice broke. "You're supposed to do this with me." The helicopter appeared, Black Hawk with Apache escort. It landed in a cloud of dust, crew chiefs scanning for threats. They loaded Tara first, on a stretcher with an American flag. Emma climbed in after, then Morrison. Boyd was last up, heard Sharp on the radio. "Package secure. 1 survivor, 1 killed in action, requesting immediate departure." The helicopter lifted off. Below, Boyd could see vehicles converging on their former position. They'd made it out by minutes. Emma sat between Morrison and Boyd, holding Tara's hand under the flag. She looked out the window as Afghanistan fell away below. 5 years, she whispered. 5 years, 2 months, and 6 days. "How did you keep track?" Boyd asked. "After they stopped counting?" Emma pulled something from inside her shirt, a small piece of fabric covered in tiny marks. Thread pulled from their uniforms, dyed with blood, making hash marks barely visible. "Tara made this when she got too weak to scratch the walls. Said we needed a record, proof we never gave up." She showed him the final marks. "She made the last one 3 days ago, could barely hold the needle, but she made it." Rodriguez leaned over, checked Emma's vitals again, whispered to Boyd, "She's running on pure adrenaline. When she crashes, It'll be bad. But Emma wasn't ready to crash. She had something else to say. The water station. That wasn't random. They brought us there specifically. She looked at Morrison. They knew someone was looking. Knew Jake was paying informants. They used us as bait. Morrison's face went white. The whole thing was a trap. If you hadn't come when you did, if you'd waited for the exchange, there would have been 100 fighters, not 40. Emma's voice was steady, matter of fact. Tara figured it out. That's why she got the letter out when she did. She knew we were running out of time. She saved us, Morrison said quietly. Even dying, she saved us all. Emma nodded, then finally let the exhaustion take her. She slumped against Boyd but kept her hand on Tara's. "Don't let them take her," she mumbled. "She hates being alone." "Nobody's taking her," Boyd promised. "She's going home." "You both are." The helicopter flew on through the morning sun. Below, the war continued, but in the cargo hold, 2 soldiers who'd been written off as dead were finally heading home. One breathing, one not. Both unbroken. Boyd looked at the fabric with its bloody marks. 1,827 days. Each one survived through impossible will, through friendship that transcended suffering, through promises kept in the darkest places humanity could create. He thought about the report he'd have to write. How to explain 5 years of failure, of bureaucracy that left 2 soldiers behind. How to explain Tara's sacrifice, Emma's survival. How to explain that sometimes love was the only thing that kept people alive in hell. The helicopter banked toward Bagram. Medical teams would be waiting. Debriefs, investigations, a media storm. But for now, in this moment, it was just them. Soldiers bringing soldiers home. Emma stirred, looked at Tara one more time. "We made it," she whispered to her friend. "We made it home." The psychiatric ward at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center was too white, too clean. Emma sat in the corner of her room, back against 2 walls, watching the door. She'd been there 4 days. Hadn't slept more than 20 minutes at a time. Boyd sat across from her, patient. He came every day, just sat there. Sometimes Emma talked, sometimes she didn't. "They buried her yesterday," Emma said suddenly. "With full honors," Jake told me. "Arlington," Boyd confirmed. "Hero's funeral, Secretary of Defense was there." Emma pulled her knees tighter. She would have hated that. All those people who let us rot suddenly calling her a hero. She laughed, bitter. "You know what she said once?" "Year 3, maybe. Said the worst part wasn't the torture. It was knowing nobody was coming." "Emma, we saw helicopters sometimes, American helicopters. So close we could see the door gunners, we screamed until our throats bled." Her fingers traced patterns on her pants. The same counting motion she'd used on the walls. "They never heard us." Dr. Patel, the psychiatrist, knocked and entered. Emma immediately tensed, shifted to see both him and the door. "How are we today, Emma? Stop talking to me like I'm broken." "You're not broken. You survived something extraordinary." "Tara survived it too. Where's her psychiatric evaluation?" Patel made notes. He was always making notes. Emma watched his pen move, memorizing the patterns. In captivity, she'd learned to watch everything. Every detail could matter. "Your parents are here," Patel said. "They've been waiting." "No." "Emma, they've come from Montana. Your mother—" "I said no." Emma's voice went flat. "I can't." "Not yet." Boyd leaned forward. "What are you afraid of?" Emma looked at him with eyes that had seen too much. "They mourned me. Had a service? Empty casket? Mom planted a tree. They moved on. How do I walk back into their lives? How do I explain what I am now?" "You're their daughter?" "Their daughter was a 23-year-old farm girl who joined the Army for college money. That girl's dead. Died in year 2 when they—" She stopped. "I'm something else now." Morrison appeared in the doorway. He'd aged 10 years in 4 days. Drunk most of the time, from what Boyd had heard. "Emma." She looked at him, and her whole demeanor changed. Gentler, like she was handling something fragile. "Hey, Jake." I need to know something. He stepped inside, unsteady. The last year, when she was sick? Was she in pain? Emma could have lied. Boyd saw her considerate, but that wasn't who she was. Yes, but she hid it well, stayed strong until the end, kept making plans for when we got home. Emma's voice stayed steady. She talked about you every day. Every single day. The restaurant where you had your first date, your wedding, the kids you were going to have. Morrison's legs gave out. He slid down the wall, sobbing. Emma moved for the first time in hours, crawled to him, held him while he broke apart. She saved me, Emma whispered. When they'd hurt me bad, she'd clean the wounds. When I couldn't eat, she'd feed me. When I wanted to die, she'd remind me why I couldn't. Why? Morrison asked through the tears. Why couldn't you? Because she said you needed to know she never stopped loving you. Said the divorce papers didn't matter. Said you were her forever, no matter what. Emma pulled back, looked Morrison in the eyes. She made me memorize messages for you. Want to hear them? Morrison nodded, unable to speak. Emma closed her eyes, recited in Tara's cadence, Jake, my love. It's March 3rd, 2023. 2 years, 4 months, 21 days. I dreamed about our apartment last night, the one with the broken air conditioner. Remember how we slept on the fire escape that summer? I'm sleeping under stars now, too. Different stars, but I pretend you're seeing the same ones. Morrison made a sound like he'd been punched. Emma continued, Jake, it's Christmas 2023. 3 years, 2 months, 5 days. Emma made me a present from thread she pulled from our uniforms. A little bracelet. I made her one, too. We pretended we were home. I told her about how you always burned the cookies. She laughed. First time in months, I love you forever. She recited 12 more messages. Dates, details, little moments Tara had wanted Jake to know. Each one broke Morrison a little more. When she finished, Morrison asked, How? How did you remember all that? She made me repeat them every night. Said if only one of us made it, these had to get home. Emma touched his face. She knew she was dying. Last 6 months she knew, but she held on. For me, for you, to make sure someone could tell the truth. Sharp appeared. Emma, there are some people here. Intelligence. They need to ask about... No, Boyd stood. She's not ready. It's not a request. They want to know about the ISI involvement, about what the prisoners knew, said... Emma laughed, sharp and bitter. They want to know what we gave up, what secrets we spilled. That's not... Yes, it is. Emma stood, swaying slightly. You want to know if we broke, if we compromised intelligence, if 5 years of torture made us betray our country. Emma, Patel started. We gave them nothing. Her voice went hard as steel. They tried everything, waterboarding, electricity, things I won't name. Tara never broke, even when they... She stopped. Even at the worst, name, rank, serial number, that's all they got. Nobody would blame you if... Sharp began. I'd blame me. Tara would blame me? Emma walked to the window, looked out at Germany. Year 1, they wanted intel about patrol routes. Year 2, base layouts. Year 3, they mostly just wanted to hurt us. Year 4, they realized we were worth more as bargaining chips. Year 5, she touched the glass. Year 5, they got creative. Creative how? Boyd asked, though he didn't want to know. Emma turned. Psychological stuff, fake rescues. People dressed as Americans coming to save us, getting us to talk, then revealing it was them all along. They did it 8 times. By the 5th, Tara had figured out their tells. Little things, wrong boots, accents slightly off. Insignia reversed. That's how you knew we were real, Boyd realized. No, I knew you were real because Tara was dying, and you couldn't fake that. Couldn't fake Jake's reaction. She looked at Morrison. They tried to use him against her once, said they'd captured him, had someone who looked similar. But Tara knew, said his hands were wrong. Morrison looked at his hands, confused. Your left pinky, Emma explained. You broke it in basic, healed crooked. She'd hold your hand when she talked about you, memorized every line, every scar. Rodriguez knocked, entered with medical charts. Emma, your blood work. You're severely malnourished, multiple vitamin deficiencies, kidney stress. We need to start aggressive treatment. Fine. And there's something else. He hesitated. The scarring. Some of it we can help with reconstruction. No. Emma, some of these injuries. I said no. She lifted her shirt slightly, showing burns across her ribs. These are mine. Evidence. Proof of what happened. You don't get to erase them because they make people uncomfortable. The intelligence officers, Sharp started, can wait. Boyd stepped between Emma and the door. She just got home. Tara's not even in the ground a week. Give her time. Time doesn't change what we need to know. Emma laughed again, that broken sound. You want to know what I know? Fine. 3 American contractors sold us out. Gave our route to the insurgents for $50,000. I know because they bragged about it. Year 2, when they thought we'd break. Sharp went still. Names? Davidson, Reeves, Campbell Private Military Contractors with Stronghold Solutions. Davidson had a scar through his left eyebrow. Reeves had a Kentucky accent. Campbell wore a wedding ring, talked about his kids. Sharp was already on her phone, stepping out. Emma sat back down in her corner. They'll say I'm unreliable. Trauma? False memories? But I remember everything, every face, every voice, every day. Why didn't Tara make it? Morrison asked suddenly. If you both held on so long, why didn't she make it just a little longer? Emma's composure finally cracked. She gave me her food. Last 6 months, she gave me most of her water. Her food. Said she wasn't hungry. I was too sick to realize at first. By the time I figured it out, tears ran down her face. She chose. She chose for me to survive. The room went quiet. She could have lived, Emma continued, if she'd taken care of herself instead of me. But she said I was younger, stronger, said I had to get home to my parents. She made the choice and wouldn't let me change it. Morrison made that broken sound again. I tried to refuse food. She forced me, held me down, made me eat, said if I died, her sacrifice meant nothing. Emma wiped her face. So I ate. I survived. I came home, but I don't know how to live with it. Boyd moved closer. You live by honoring her, by telling the truth, by making sure this never happens to anyone else. Pretty words? Emma looked exhausted suddenly. But when I close my eyes, I'm still there. Still in that hole, still watching her fade away while I got stronger on food she should have eaten. Patel stepped forward. Survivor's guilt is... Don't. Emma's voice went dangerous. Don't you dare diagnose me. Don't make this neat and clinical. This isn't a condition to be treated. This is what happens when you leave soldiers behind for 5 years. Someone knocked. Boyd opened the door to find a man and woman in their 60s. The woman looked like Emma might have, before. Same eyes, same stubborn chin. Emma's parents. Emma saw them and froze. Baby? Her mother said. And Emma shattered. 5 years of strength, of survival, of staying human in hell, collapsed. She crawled across the floor into her mother's arms, sobbing like the 23-year-old girl who'd left for war and never came back. Her father knelt beside them, arms around both. We never stopped looking, he whispered, never stopped believing. Boyd stood to leave, give them privacy. Emma's hand shot out, grabbed his wrist. Stay, she said. Please, I need soldiers here, people who understand. So Boyd stayed, Morrison too, while Emma's parents held their ghost of a daughter, while she told them fragments of 5 years, while she tried to explain Tara's sacrifice. Outside, the sun set over Germany. Another day ended. Emma had been free for 96 hours. She'd counted every one. The intelligence officers came on day 7. 3 of them, suits and clearances, and eyes that had seen too much. Emma sat in the hospital conference room, Boyd on one side, a JAG lawyer on the other. Her parents waited outside. Morrison had disappeared on a bender 2 days ago. Specialist Hawkins, the lead officer, Coleman, began, "We need to discuss what you observed during captivity." "I observed hell. Anything specific?" Coleman pulled out files. "Let's start with the contractors you mentioned. Davidson, Reeves, Campbell." Emma closed her eyes, recalled perfectly. "First time I saw them was day 43, October 2019. They came to verify we were alive. Davidson took photos. Reeves made a call, said, 'Packages confirmed.' Campbell seemed nervous, kept touching his wedding ring." "You're certain about the company? Stronghold Solutions? They wore the patches when they thought we were too broken to notice. Year 2, they got sloppy." Coleman made notes. "What else did you observe about operations?" Emma talked for 3 hours, every detail filed away in her mind. Guard rotations, weapon types, radio frequencies she'd memorized from repetition, languages spoken, accents identified. The intelligence officers kept exchanging glances. Her recall was perfect. "How?" Coleman finally asked. "How do you remember this level of detail?" "Tara said information was ammunition. Said if we ever got out, we'd need proof. So we memorized everything. Tested each other. Made it a game to stay sane." Emma's voice stayed flat, professional. "Want to know about the Pakistani ISI involvement?" They very much did. Major Hassani, 5'10", birthmark on his left cheek, spoke English with a British accent. Visited 6 times over 5 years. Each time, he evaluated us for trade value. Last visit was 8 months ago. He said, and I quote, "The American government will pay handsomely for proof of life. But corpses are worthless. Keep them breathing." The JAG lawyer shifted. "Emma, did anyone ever suggest you were abandoned? That the military stopped looking?" "Every day they had newspapers, videos, showed us our own funerals, our families moving on." She looked at Coleman. Year 3, someone showed us footage of a congressional hearing. Officials testifying we were definitively dead. No ongoing search operations. Coleman couldn't meet her eyes. "But Morrison never stopped looking," Emma continued. "They complained about him. Said someone was paying locals for information. They moved us 4 times because of his searches." "About the moves," Coleman pulled out a map. "Can you identify locations?" Emma studied it, pointed. "First location here, cave system, held there 8 months. Second, this valley, abandoned Soviet outpost, 14 months. Third here, basement of a farm, 2 years. Fourth, this mountain, another cave, 18 months. Final location, the water station area, last 4 months." "The farm," Coleman focused on that. 2 years in one location. Why did no one find you?" "Because the family that owned it was paid by your contractors." Davidson visited monthly, brought medical supplies sometimes, just enough to keep us valuable. The room went quiet. "You're saying American contractors knew where you were for 2 years and didn't report it?" "I'm saying they managed us like inventory. When our value dropped, they'd leak information to increase demand. When it got too high, they'd move us. It was business." The JAG lawyer stood. "I think we need a break." Outside, Emma found her mother crying, father holding her. "Baby, you don't have to do this," her mother said. "Not so soon." "Yes, I do. While it's fresh, while I'm angry enough to push through." "Angry?" Emma looked at the intelligence officers through the window. 5 years. We scratched marks on walls for 5 years, and Morrison found us in 4 days once he knew where to look. 4 days versus 5 years. "Yeah, Mom, I'm angry." Sharp arrived, looking exhausted. "Emma, Morrison's in trouble. Got arrested. Bar fight. He's asking for you." Emma didn't hesitate. "Take me to him." The local German police station was clean, efficient. Morrison sat in a cell, face bruised, knuckles bloody. He looked up when Emma approached. "Hey, soldier." "Jake?" "I hit someone." "Guy at the bar. He said something about abandoned soldiers deserving what they got." Emma reached through the bars, took his hand. "She wouldn't want this?" "No. She fought every day for 5 years. Why can't I fight for 1 night?" Because your fight's different. You have to live with her being gone. That's harder than dying." Morrison laughed, broken. "You know what the worst part is? I can't remember our last conversation. Before deployment, can't remember what we said." Emma squeezed his hand. She remembered. "August 17th, 2019. You drove her to base, had breakfast at that diner, the one with terrible coffee. You argued about her taking your lucky coin. She won, kept it until year 4, when they took it." Morrison started crying again. "She loved you," Emma continued. "Through everything, that never changed. Even when she was dying, she'd smile when she talked about you. I should have looked harder. Should have never accepted—" "Stop," Emma's voice went firm. "You found us. You saved me. That matters." They bailed Morrison out. Emma rode with him back to base, made sure he got to his quarters, found the box he'd recovered from the compound on his desk, still unopened except for the photos Boyd had seen. "What else is in there?" she asked. Morrison shrugged. "Haven't looked." "Can't." Emma opened it. More photos, documents, and at the bottom, wrapped in plastic, 2 small books. "Oh, God," Emma breathed. Journals, one in her handwriting, one in Tara's, hidden, somehow kept secret through 5 years. Emma opened Tara's, read the first entry. "Day 1, they took us. Emma's hurt, but hiding it. I have to keep her safe. Jake, if you ever read this, know I'm thinking of you." Morrison took the journal with shaking hands. Emma opened her own journal, her younger self's handwriting, neat at first, degrading over time. The last entry was dated a week before rescue. "Tara's dying. I can see it. She thinks I don't know she's giving me her food. I pretend to be fooled because arguing hurts her. She made me promise to survive. I don't know if I can without her." "You survived," Morrison said quietly. "Part of me did." They sat in silence, reading fragments. The journals were incomplete, pages torn out for various uses over the years. But what remained was testament to their friendship, their resistance, their humanity maintained against all odds. A knock on the door. Sharp entered with Boyd. "The contractors," Sharp said. "Davidson, Reeves, and Campbell. We found them. They're in Dubai. Stronghold Solutions is claiming they're protected by corporate sovereignty." "Bullshit," Morrison stood. "They sold American soldiers." "State Department's involved now. It's complicated." Emma laughed, that sharp, bitter sound. "Complicated. 5 years in hell because 3 men wanted money, and it's complicated." "There's more," Boyd said. "The intelligence Emma provided. It's led to identifying a network, 15 locations where prisoners might be held. Other Americans? Coalition forces?" Emma went very still. "Others?" "Possibly." "Teams are mobilizing, but quietly. Can't spook them into moving prisoners." Emma thought about the scratches on the wall. How many other walls had similar marks? How many others were counting days, believing no one was coming? "I want to help," she said. "Emma, you've done enough." "No." She stood, and for the first time since rescue, Boyd saw the soldier she'd been. "I survived for a reason. Tara died to make sure I could tell the truth. I'm not done telling it." Coleman appeared in the doorway. "Ms. Hawkins, there's been a development. The Pakistani officer you identified, Major Hassani. He wants to make a deal. Information about other prisoners in exchange for immunity." "No deal," Emma said immediately. "That's not your call. He watched us suffer for 5 years, evaluated us like cattle. No deal. He has information about 17 other prisoners, Americans, British, French." Emma wavered. 17 others, 17 people scratching marks on walls. "What kind of information?" "Locations, conditions, proof of life." Emma looked at Morrison, who nodded slightly, at Boyd, who waited for her decision. "I want to be there." "When you talk to him." "I want him to see me alive. Want him to know we survived, despite him." Coleman hesitated, then nodded. "Can you handle it?" Emma thought about Tara, dying in that truck, still trying to protect her. Thought about promises made in the dark. "I can handle anything. Tara made sure of that. Sharp's phone rang. She answered, went pale. When? How many? She hung up. One of the locations Emma identified. Team went in an hour ago. They found 3 Americans, alive. Been missing since 2021. The room went silent. Emma felt something crack in her chest. Others who'd been counting days, losing hope. Their families? She asked. Being notified now. Emma thought about her parents, that memorial service, the empty casket, the tree her mother planted, 3 more families about to have their world shattered and rebuilt. I need to see them, Emma said, when they arrive. The rescued prisoners? I need to... She stopped, tried to find words. They'll be broken, confused. They'll need someone who understands. Emma, you're barely holding together yourself, Boyd said gently. No, I'm exactly as together as I need to be. Tara taught me that. You don't have to be whole. You just have to be enough. Morrison stood, steadier now. She's right. Those prisoners, they'll need proof it gets better, that you can come back from this. Do you? Emma asked him. Come back from this? Morrison looked at Tara's journal in his hands. I don't know, but Tara would want me to try. Emma nodded. Then we try. For them, for the ones still out there, for the ones who didn't make it. Coleman gathered his files. Ms. Hawkins, what you've given us today, it's going to save lives. Should have saved them 5 years ago. He had no answer for that. As everyone prepared to leave, Emma returned to the journals. Found an entry in Tara's handwriting, dated year 3. Emma asked me today if anyone remembers us. I told her yes. I told her Jake remembers, Boyd remembers, our families remember. But even if they didn't, we remember each other. We witness each other's survival. That's enough. That has to be enough. Emma closed the journal, held it against her chest. I remember, she whispered to the empty room. I remember everything. Tomorrow she would face the Pakistani officer, would look into the eyes of a man who'd evaluated her suffering like a commodity, would help find 17 others lost in the same hell. But tonight she would read Tara's words, would remember her friend's voice, her strength, her sacrifice, would count one more day survived, day 8 of freedom, 1,835 days total, still counting. The video conference room at Ramstein Air Base was cold, sterile. Emma sat facing a screen, Coleman beside her, Boyd and Morrison behind. On the screen, Major Hassani sat in what looked like a hotel room in Islamabad. Clean-shaven, expensive suit, acting like he wasn't responsible for evaluating human misery. Ms. Hawkins, he said smoothly, you look well. Emma said nothing, just stared. I understand you have questions about my involvement. I have no questions. I know exactly what you did. I'm here for the 17 prisoners. Hassani shifted slightly. Yes, well, that information has value. So did we. You put a price on us, $20 million, last estimate. Tara Mitchell died worth $20 million to you. I never directly... October 2022, you visited. Tara had pneumonia. You told them to keep her alive because a dead asset was worthless. She heard you. We both did. Hassani's composure cracked slightly. The situation was complex. The 17 prisoners. Names, locations, conditions. Now. Coleman slid a paper forward. The immunity deal is contingent on actionable intelligence that leads to recoveries. Hassani pulled out a tablet. 3 Americans in Kunar province. Contractors taken in 2021, held by the same network that had you. 2 British soldiers near Kandahar, taken 2020. French journalist in... Proof of life? Emma interrupted. Hassani swiped through files, showed photos. Emma studied each one, memorizing faces, looking for signs she recognized. Malnutrition, untreated injuries, that hollow stare of people who'd stopped hoping. This one, she pointed to a photo of a young man, barely 20. He's dying. See the swelling? Kidney failure. Maybe 2 weeks left. How can you... Because Tara looked the same way. Get him out first. Coleman was already on another phone, relaying information. The network, Emma said. Who runs it? It's not centralized. Multiple groups, coordinating through intermediaries. Some insurgent, some criminal, some just opportunistic. The contractors. Davidson, Reeves, Campbell. How long have they been selling people? Hassani hesitated. Coleman leaned forward. Answer her. 6 years that I know of, maybe longer. They had contacts in logistics, knew transport routes, security gaps, sold information to whoever paid. Emma felt something cold settle in her chest. 6 years. How many soldiers, contractors, journalists sold into hell? There are more, she said, not a question. More prisoners? More contractors? More people selling us out? Hassani's silence was answer enough. Morrison spoke for the first time. Names. That would require additional considerations. Emma stood. You want to negotiate? Fine, but not with them. With me. I'm the one who survived what you enabled. I'm the one who watched Tara die. You want immunity? Earn it. She walked out. In the hallway, she collapsed against the wall, shaking. Boyd caught her before she fell. I can't, she gasped. Can't sit there and be civil when he... You don't have to. You've done enough. No, those 17 prisoners. They're real. They're waiting. Someone has to... She stopped, steadied herself. Tara would do it? For them? She walked back in. 4 hours later, they had everything. Locations, guard schedules, medical conditions of prisoners. 3 required immediate extraction or they'd die. 8 had been held over 3 years. 1, the French journalist, had been captive for 7 years. 7 years? Emma said quietly. How is he alive? He converted, Hassani said. Publicly? They keep him as a trophy. Emma thought about the things people did to survive, the compromises, adaptations, surrenders that kept you breathing. No judgment, she said. Whatever keeps you alive. Sharp entered. First rescue's in motion, the kidney failure case, medical team standing by. They waited. Emma counted minutes. At 43 minutes, Sharp's phone rang. Got him. Alive. Critical, but alive. Emma felt something loosen in her chest. 1 down, 16 to go. Over the next 3 days, they ran 11 operations. Emma stayed in the command center, providing intelligence, identifying patterns. When rescued prisoners arrived at Ramstein, she met each one. The first was a contractor named Willis, taken 3 years ago. His wife had remarried, thinking him dead. Emma sat with him while he processed that. She moved on, he said, staring at nothing. People do what they have to, Emma replied. Doesn't mean she didn't love you. Did anyone wait for you? Emma thought about Morrison, searching for 5 years. Her parents, never quite accepting. Some did, some didn't. Both are okay. The French journalist Dumont arrived on day 4. 7 years of captivity had left him skeletal, barely coherent. He kept apologizing in 3 languages for converting, for surviving. Emma took his hands, scarred like hers. You're here. You're alive. That's all that matters. I forgot my mother's face, he whispered. Forgot my own name sometimes. But you remembered to survive. That's the hardest thing to remember. By the end of the week, they'd recovered 14 of the 17. 2 had been moved, location unknown. 1 had died 3 months earlier. Emma stood in the command center, staring at the photos of the 2 still missing. A British soldier, Thomas Kent, an American aid worker, Patricia Chen. We'll keep looking, Coleman promised. For how long? Another 5 years? As long as it takes, Emma laughed, bitter. That's what they probably told Tara's family. And mine. Morrison had been sober for 3 days. He stood beside her, studying the intelligence. The patterns. They're moving them north, probably into the tribal areas. Emma traced the map. Winter's coming. They'll need permanent shelter. Here, this valley has caves, water access. Coleman made notes. We'll retask satellites. I want to go, Emma said. Everyone turned. "Absolutely not," Boyd said immediately. "I know how they think. How they move prisoners, what to look for. You're in no condition. I'm in exactly the condition I need to be. I've been where Kent and Chen are. I know what they're feeling, thinking. I can find them." "Emma," Morrison said gently, Tara would be leading the mission. She'd never leave anyone behind." Sharp entered with a tablet. "Problem: Stronghold Solutions is moving Davidson, Reeves, and Campbell. Private jet leaving Dubai in 6 hours. Destination unknown, but probably somewhere without extradition." Emma took the tablet, studied the intelligence. "They're running. They know we're coming." "State Department says we can't," Coleman started. "What would Tara do?" Emma asked Morrison. He smiled for the first time since Tara's death. Something highly illegal that somehow worked. Emma turned to Sharp. "I need a phone. And someone who speaks Arabic." 2 hours later, through carefully planted intelligence suggesting the contractors were actually American agents infiltrating militant networks, Dubai security detained them at the airport. Within 12 hours, they were being extradited to Germany for questioning about financial crimes. Emma met them at Ramstein, sat across from Davidson in an interrogation room. He looked smaller than in her memories. Ordinary, just a man who'd sold souls for money. "I don't know you," he said. "Yes, you do." "October 2019 through October 2024. You took my picture 43 times. Brought antibiotics twice when Tara was dying, just enough to keep her valuable, not enough to save her." Davidson's face went white. "You're supposed to be dead." "Surprise. I want a lawyer." "You'll get one. But first, Thomas Kent and Patricia Chen. Where are they?" "I don't know who—" Emma pulled out a photo from the compound, Davidson in the background, clear as day. "This is from 6 months ago." "You were there. Where did they move them?" Davidson looked at Coleman, at the cameras recording everything. "Lawyer." Emma leaned forward. "Tara Mitchell died 4 feet from me, drowning in her own blood while her husband held her hand. She was 29 years old. She died because you sold us for $50,000. I didn't pull any triggers." "No, you just provided the targets. Tell me where Kent and Chen are, or I'll make sure every prisoner we rescued knows your name. 14 people who lost years because of you. Think they'll all be as calm as me?" It was an empty threat, but Davidson didn't know that. "There's a facility," he said finally, "north of Miram Shah, old mining complex. They keep the valuable ones there, the ones they think they can ransom." Coleman was already relaying the information. Emma stood to leave, then turned back. $50,000. That's what 5 years of torture was worth to you. $10,000 per year, $27 per day, 3 cents per hour. It was just business. No, business has rules, ethics, boundaries. You're just a trader who sold soldiers. Outside, Morrison waited. "Feel better?" "No, but Kent and Chen might come home. That's something." Her phone rang. Her mother. "Emma? Honey, there's news coverage. They're saying you found other prisoners. 14 so far, maybe 2 more. "Oh, baby." Tara would be so proud. Emma's throat tightened. "Would she?" "You're finishing what you both started." Bearing witness, making sure no one else gets left behind. After the call, Emma found herself back in the medical ward. The rescued prisoners were in various stages of recovery. She stopped at each room, checked on them. Some talked, some didn't. All had the same look, lost between 2 worlds. The young contractor with kidney failure, Martinez, was awake. "You're the one who knew," he said. "Knew I was dying." Tara had the same symptoms. I watched her fight it for 8 months. "Did she win?" "She got home. She died free." "Yeah, she won." Martinez nodded, understanding that particular victory. Rodriguez found her making rounds. "You need rest." "Real rest, not these 20-minute combat naps." "Can't." "Too much to—" "Emma," he used his medic voice, "you're running on adrenaline and anger." When you crash, then I crash, but not yet. Not until Kent and Chen are home. 3 days later, they found them. The raid was textbook perfect. No casualties, 2 prisoners recovered alive. Emma watched the feed from the command center, saw them carried to helicopters. Kent unconscious, but breathing. Chen alert, fighting, convinced it was another fake rescue. "It's real!" Emma found herself shouting at the screen. "It's real! You're going home!" When they arrived at Ramstein, Emma was waiting. Chen saw her and stopped struggling. "You're Emma Hawkins." "How did you—" "They talked about you. The guards. Said you and another woman escaped once, made it 40 kilometers before they caught you. Said they punished you for weeks, but you never stopped trying." Emma remembered that escape. Year 2. Tara's idea. They'd followed water, moved at night, gotten farther than anyone thought possible. The punishment afterward had nearly killed them. "We had to try," Emma said simply. "Did your friend make it?" "The other woman? She got me home." That's what mattered to her. Chen nodded, understanding. Later, Emma stood in Tara's room. Morrison had kept it exactly as she'd left it at Fort Campbell. Her uniform still hung in the closet. Photos on the dresser, their wedding, deployment, family. Emma found one from basic training. Tara and her, 18 weeks in, exhausted but grinning. They'd just finished their final ruck march. Tara had carried Emma's pack the last 2 miles when Emma's hip gave out, never told the drill sergeants. 16 rescued because of you, Emma told the photo. Your sacrifice saved them too. Morrison appeared in the doorway. The funerals start tomorrow. Arlington 5 of the rescued prisoners who didn't make it home. Their families want you there. I don't do funerals. Neither do I, but we'll do these. For them. For Tara. Emma touched Tara's uniform, still hanging with her ribbons. Bronze Star, Purple Heart, POW medal they'd awarded posthumously. She deserved more, Emma said. She deserved to live. But since she couldn't, she deserves to be remembered. That's on us now. Emma took the photo from basic training. I want to keep this. Take whatever you need. She looked around the room one more time. This was who Tara had been before. Soldier, wife, daughter. But Emma knew who she'd become. Survivor, protector, the woman who chose another's life over her own. Ready? Morrison asked. No, but that's never stopped us before. They left together, 2 broken people held up by the memory of someone stronger than both of them. Tomorrow they would bury 5 soldiers who'd been lost and forgotten. But 16 were home because Emma remembered, because Tara made sure she would survive to remember. The count continued. Day 15 of freedom. Still counting. Always counting. For all of them. Arlington National Cemetery was drowning in rain. Emma stood in dress uniform that hung loose on her frame, watching 5 flag-draped caskets lower into the earth. 5 soldiers who died in captivity, finally home. Their families stood under black umbrellas, grieving deaths that had happened years ago but felt fresh as yesterday. Morrison stood beside her, sober 41 days now, Boyd on her other side. Behind them, 11 of the 14 rescued prisoners, those strong enough to attend. The Secretary of Defense was speaking. Words about sacrifice, honor, never forgetting. Emma didn't listen. She was counting. The rhythm of rain on coffins, 21 guns firing in sequence, the tears of a mother who just learned her son had died alone in a cave 3 years ago. After the service, Patricia Chen approached. She'd gained 12 pounds in 2 weeks, looked almost human again. I need to tell you something, Chen said. About Tara? Emma's chest tightened. You knew her? No. But the guards, they talked about her. Said she killed one of them. Year 4. He tried to separate you two, move you to different locations. She killed him with her bare hands. Emma remembered. The guard had grabbed her, started dragging her away. Tara, sick with fever, had found strength from somewhere, wrapped her chains around his throat, held on even as others beat her. She protected me, Emma said simply. That's not all. They said after that, nobody would buy you separately. You were a package deal, too dangerous apart. That's why they kept you together." Emma felt tears she didn't let fall. Tara had ensured they wouldn't be separated, even at the cost of torture. Her parents appeared, her mother holding an umbrella over Emma's head. "The news wants to interview you," her father said. 60 Minutes, CNN, everyone." "No." "Baby, people need to know." "Then they can read the report. I'm not performing my trauma for ratings." Sharp approached with Coleman. "Emma, we need to discuss something, privately." They walked to a quiet area of the cemetery. Sharp pulled out a tablet, showed Emma a document. "Stronghold Solutions records. We found more operations. 12 more missing personnel who might have been sold." Emma read through the names, dates, locations. "These go back 8 years. Maybe longer." Davidson's talking, trying to reduce his sentence. Says there's a whole network. Military contractors, logistics personnel, even some active duty. Active duty military selling out their own? For the right price, apparently. Emma thought about the code they all lived by. Leave no one behind. How many had been left because someone wanted money? "What do you need from me?" "Your insight. You understand the patterns, the networks. We want to bring you on as a consultant. Help find the others. I'm still technically active duty. Medical discharge is processing. Full benefits, pension, 100% disability. But as a civilian consultant, you'd have more flexibility." Emma looked back at the funeral gathering, the families slowly dispersing, carrying their grief home. "Tara's mother wants to see me," she said. "Been asking since I got back." "That's not... Everything's connected. Tara's mother deserves to know how her daughter died. These 12 missing personnel deserve to be found. The network that sold us deserves to be destroyed." Emma handed back the tablet. "I'll do it. All of it." 2 days later, Emma drove to Diane Mitchell's house in Ohio. Small town, white fence, American flag on the porch. The door opened before she could knock. Diane looked like Tara might have at 60. Same strong jaw, same direct gaze. "Emma." "Mrs. Mitchell." "Diane, please." "Come in." The house was a shrine. Tara's photos everywhere. High school graduation, basic training, wedding. But also newer additions, newspaper clippings about the rescue, Emma's testimony to Congress, the arrests of the contractors. They sat at the kitchen table. Diane poured coffee with shaking hands. "Tell me," she said. "Everything. I need to know everything." Emma talked for 3 hours. The good mixed with the bad. How Tara kept them both sane with stories, songs, jokes. How she rationed medicine, making sure Emma got more. How she never stopped planning escape, even when she could barely walk. "The last year," Diane asked, "when she was so sick. Was she in pain?" Emma could have lied, almost did. But Tara's mother deserved truth. "Yes, but she hid it well, stayed strong until the end." Diane nodded, tears flowing steady. "She called me, you know, night before deployment. Said she had a bad feeling. I told her it was just nerves. It wasn't your fault." "Wasn't it? I could have told her to come home. Could have." She wouldn't have listened. Tara never abandoned her duty. Diane stood, walked to a cabinet, pulled out a box. These came last week, her personal effects from captivity. Inside, Tara's dog tags, wedding ring, the fabric with bloody hash marks counting days. And something Emma hadn't known survived, a small piece of paper worn soft from handling. Emma recognized her own handwriting, a poem she'd written for Tara's birthday in year 3, when they had nothing to give each other but words. "She kept it," Emma whispered. All that time, through all those moves, she kept it. "Read it to me?" Emma's throat closed. She shook her head. "Please, I need to hear something beautiful she held on to." Emma picked up the paper, read her younger self's words. "Stone walls cannot imprison what lives between our hearts. The darkness cannot swallow what light refuses to depart. You are my morning coffee. In this place that has no dawn, you are my proof of living when all reason to is gone. So happy birthday, sister. In this hell we've made a home, Together, we're an army. Together, never alone, Diane sobbed. Emma held her while she broke. She was supposed to have children, Diane gasped. Grow old. Be happy. She was happy sometimes, even there, when we'd remember good things, share stories. She smiled, laughed even, stayed human. Morrison arrived an hour later. He and Diane held each other, grieving the same loss from different angles. I'm going to find the others, Emma told them, the ones still missing. It's what Tara would do. Be careful, Diane said. I can't lose another daughter. Emma didn't correct her. Somewhere in 5 years of hell, she and Tara had become sisters in everything but blood. Back at Ramstein, Emma dove into the stronghold files. 12 names became 15, then 20. The network was vast, interconnected. Each thread led to 2 more. She worked 18-hour days, stopping only when Rodriguez physically dragged her to rest. Boyd brought food she forgot to eat. Morrison helped with intelligence analysis. You're going to burn out, Boyd warned. Then I burn out after we find them. 3 weeks in, Emma noticed something, a pattern in the transactions. Every third Thursday, money moved through specific accounts. Small amounts, but consistent. They're still operating, she told Coleman. The network's still selling people. That's impossible. We arrested the principals. You arrested 3 contractors. This is bigger. Coleman pulled in NSA resources. Emma was right. The network was active, had been throughout their investigation. There's someone else, Emma said. Someone higher. Davidson and the others were middle management. She kept digging. Financial records, communication patterns, logistics reports. The intelligence teams could barely keep up with her analysis. One name kept appearing in margins, shadows, never directly connected, but always adjacent. Colonel Marcus Webb, retired, now working for a defense contractor with DoD connections. Webb processed the convoy routes, Emma realized. He knew where we'd be. When we'd be there, who'd be protecting us? Sharp went pale. Webb was my CO in Afghanistan. He's a decorated officer. He's also the one who classified our convoy as routine. No aerial support, minimal security. The room went silent. Emma pulled up more files. Look, every missing person who was sold, Webb had access to their movements. Every single one. This is circumstantial, Coleman started. 8 years, 20-plus Americans sold. How much circumstance do you need? Morrison stood. Where is he now? Virginia, teaching at a military contractor training facility. We need more proof, Sharp said. Emma's phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? You should stop digging, Specialist Hawkins. Male voice, American accent. Familiar somehow. Who is this? Someone who knows what really happened to you and Mitchell. Someone who could have prevented it. Emma put it on speaker, gestured for Coleman to trace it. Colonel Webb? Pause. You always were too smart. Tara said that near the end. Said you'd figure it out eventually. You spoke to Tara? Video call, year 4. The buyers wanted proof of life. She looked right at the camera and said, Emma will find you. Guess she was right. Emma's hands shook with rage. You saw her dying and did nothing? I saw an asset worth $20 million. Nothing personal, just economics. She was a soldier. Your soldier. She was overhead. You both were. Do you know how much it costs to find 2 missing soldiers? The resources, manpower, easier to write you off, collect the insurance? Morrison grabbed the phone. You motherfucker! Chief Morrison, how's sobriety? Heard you've finally dried out. Too late for Tara, though. Coleman signaled. They had the trace. Keep him talking, he mouthed. Emma took back the phone. The others? The 20 still missing. Where are they? Why would I tell you that? Because you're calling me. Because you want something. Webb laughed. Smart girl. Here's the deal. You stop investigating. Take your medical discharge. Disappear. In exchange, I give you 3 locations. Save 3 lives. All of them or no deal. You're not in a position to negotiate. Neither are you. We have your financial records, your communications, your entire network is unraveling. You have circumstantial garbage that won't hold up in court. I have 3 addresses where Americans are dying. Your choice." Emma looked at Coleman, who nodded. "Prove it." "Prove you have real intel." Webb rattled off GPS coordinates. Coleman's team immediately started checking satellite imagery. "Confirmed," someone whispered. "Structure with heat signatures. Guards." "That's 1, Webb said. 2 more if you disappear. Otherwise, they die tonight." Emma closed her eyes, saw Tara's face, heard her voice. "Save who you can." "Deal." Webb gave 2 more locations, then hung up. The room exploded into motion. 3 teams scrambled, launching immediate rescue operations. Emma sat still, staring at nothing. "We'll get him," Sharp promised. "This confession, the trace, he's already gone, probably left the country while we were talking." "Then we'll find him." Emma stood. "No, I'll find him. But first, we get those 3 home." 6 hours later, 3 Americans were free. A contractor missing 2 years, a journalist missing 4, an aid worker missing 6 months. Emma met each one at Ramstein, sat with them through the confusion, the disbelief, the survivor's guilt. "How?" the journalist asked. "How did you find us?" Emma couldn't tell him the truth, that his freedom was bought with her silence, that she'd made a deal with the devil who sold them all. "We never stopped looking," she lied. Morrison found her later, sitting outside in the rain. "Webb won't get away with this," he said. 23 Americans sold, 5 dead, years of torture, and he's teaching somewhere, collecting a pension. "Not for long." Emma looked at him. "What are you planning? Nothing official? Nothing traceable? Jake?" "He watched my wife die on video. Watched and did nothing." Morrison's voice was steady, cold. "He doesn't get to walk away." Emma thought about Tara, about promises made in the dark, about justice versus revenge. "When you find him," she said finally, "tell him Tara was right. Tell him I did figure it out." Morrison nodded, understanding. That night, Emma stood in her room, looking at the evidence wall she'd built. 20 faces stared back, the missing, the sold, the abandoned. She'd found some, but not all. Her phone rang. Her mother. "Baby? You okay? You sound tired." "I'm tired, Mom." "Come home. Just for a while." "Rest, Emma." Looked at the faces on the wall. "Not yet. There's more work to do. There always will be. But you need to heal too." After the call, Emma pulled out Tara's journal. Found an entry from year 4. "Emma thinks she's protecting me, but she's the strong one. She just doesn't know it yet. When we get home, and we will get home, she'll save others. It's who she is, who she's always been." Emma closed the journal. Tomorrow she'd keep searching, keep fighting, keep the promise she'd made to a dying friend. But tonight, she'd rest. Just for a few hours. She lay down, closed her eyes. And for the first time in 23 days of freedom, Emma Hawkins didn't count. She just slept. 6 months after rescue, Emma stood in a congressional hearing room, right hand raised. The committee wanted answers about how 2 soldiers could disappear for 5 years. The families of the missing deserved truth. The nation demanded accountability. State your name for the record. Emma Hawkins, former specialist, United States Army. She sat, feeling the weight of cameras, reporters, families of the missing filling the gallery. In the front row, her parents, Morrison, Boyd, Sharp. Diane Mitchell, wearing Tara's dog tags. Senator Williams led the questioning. "Ms. Hawkins, can you explain how systemic failures led to your abandonment?" Emma leaned into the microphone. "We weren't abandoned, Senator. We were sold." The room erupted. Williams gavelled for order. "That's a serious accusation." "It's not an accusation, it's fact. Colonel Marcus Webb, 3 stronghold contractors, and at least 12 others participated in trafficking American personnel to hostile forces." She laid out the evidence methodically. Financial records, communication intercepts, witness testimonies from rescued prisoners. Webb's network had operated for 8 years, selling at least 37 Americans and Allied personnel. "Where is Colonel Webb now?" Williams asked. "Unknown. He disappeared after confessing to me 6 months ago." "And the others involved?" "Some arrested. Some fled. Some still operating, probably." Williams shuffled papers. "The Department of Defense claims this was an isolated incident. The DoD claimed we were dead for 5 years while we scratched marks on walls." Emma's voice stayed steady, but the room felt it, the weight of those marks. "Forgive me if I don't trust their assessment." She testified for 4 hours, every detail of captivity relevant to the systemic failures. The fake rescues that traumatized them, the contractors visiting, taking photos, maintaining their value, the bureaucracy that stopped Morrison's search despite credible intelligence. "Ms. Mitchell," Williams said, then caught himself. "Excuse me, Specialist Mitchell. Can you speak to her experience?" Emma looked at Diane, who nodded. "Tara Mitchell survived 1,826 days of captivity. She maintained detailed intelligence, protected fellow prisoners, and never broke under interrogation." Emma's voice caught slightly. "She died free, in her husband's arms, ensuring my survival. She was the strongest person I've ever known." Her death could have been prevented? If we'd been rescued even 6 months earlier, yes. Her illness was treatable with proper medical care. The gallery was crying. Emma wasn't. She'd run out of tears months ago. "Final question, Miss Hawkins. What do you want from this hearing?" Emma had prepared for this. 3 things. 1. Full accountability for everyone involved in trafficking American personnel. 2. Reform of intelligence procedures to prevent anyone else being abandoned. 3. Continued searches for the 12 Americans still missing. "You believe others are still alive?" "I know they are. I've identified patterns, locations. Give me resources and authority. I'll bring them home." After the hearing, reporters swarmed. Emma pushed through them, found Morrison outside smoking. "Any word?" she asked. He smiled darkly. "Webb was teaching at a facility in Yemen?" Was. Training accident. Tragic. Fell down some stairs. Repeatedly. Emma didn't ask more. That night she sat in her apartment, sparse, functional, walls covered with maps and missing person files. Her phone rang. "Emma, it's Rodriguez." "What's wrong?" "Nothing wrong, something right. Remember Martinez? The kidney failure case we rescued?" "Yeah." "He's walking. Doctors said he'd never walk again, but he's walking. Wanted you to know." Emma smiled, a real smile, rare these days. "That's good. There's more. He wants to help. With the searches. Says he owes it to the ones still out there." Over the following weeks, more rescued prisoners contacted her. Chen, Dumont, Willis. They formed an informal network, sharing intelligence, pushing for action. The government didn't know what to do with them, broken soldiers demanding to help break others free. Emma met with Coleman in a coffee shop near Langley. "Officially, I can't support your activities," he said. "Unofficially?" He slid her an envelope. "Satellite time, communication intercepts, financial resources. You didn't get this from me." "Get what?" Coleman smiled. "There's a compound in northern Pakistan, 3 heat signatures that shouldn't be there. Might be worth someone looking into." Emma studied the intelligence that night. The patterns matched: isolated location, specific guard rotations, supply deliveries suggesting prisoners. She called Morrison. "I need your help." "Always." "Not official, not sanctioned. Even better. They couldn't mount a military operation, but they could do something else." Emma contacted journalists, human rights organizations, Pakistani opposition politicians. Created so much noise that the Pakistani government had to investigate to save face. 2 weeks later, 3 Dutch aid workers were discovered and released. They'd been missing 2 years. Emma met them in Germany. One grabbed her hands. "They talked about you," he said in accented English. "The guards." "Said 2 American women escaped multiple times. Said you gave others hope." "We just survived." No, you resisted. There's a difference. The successes mounted slowly. 7 more recovered over 3 months through pressure, intelligence leaks, diplomatic channels. Emma never slept more than 4 hours, driven by the countdown in her head. Every day meant more scratches on walls somewhere. Then came the call that changed everything. "Emma?" Sharp's voice tense. "We found something in Webb's files." Something he encrypted. Emma met her at a secure facility. Sharp pulled up files on a screen. Video recordings. Webb kept videos of all the prisoners he sold. Emma's stomach dropped. Including you and Tara? 38 videos over 5 years. I don't want to see them. You need to. Look, Sharp played one from year 4. Emma almost didn't recognize herself. Skeletal? Hollow-eyed? But there was Tara, sick but fierce, staring directly at the camera. "I know you're watching," Tara said to whoever was behind the camera. "Know you're calculating our worth. But you're missing something. Emma's going to survive this. She's going to come home, and when she does, she'll find every single person you sold. She'll burn your entire network down." The Tara on screen smiled, terrible and beautiful. "I'm dying. I know it, you know it, but Emma doesn't die. Emma endures, and when she's done enduring, she's going to destroy you." The video cut off. Emma sat in silence, then laughed, actually laughed. "She knew," Emma said. "Even then, she knew I'd be here, doing this." "There's more," Sharp said. "Webb's encrypted files contain locations of 6 more prisoners, current locations. Emma was already standing. How current? As of 2 months ago. That's why he ran. He knew once we had this, we'd find them all." Emma called Morrison, Boyd, Coleman, called Martinez and Chen and every rescued prisoner who could help, called journalists and senators and anyone with power or platform. "We have locations," she announced to the assembled group 12 hours later. 6 Americans confirmed alive, retrievable. The government mobilized finally. 6 operations, simultaneous, no room for error. Emma waited in the command center, watching 6 screens. Morrison beside her, both counting minutes. Team 1, target acquired. 1 soul, alive. Team 2, target acquired. 1 soul, critical but stable. The confirmations came in sequence, 6 for 6, all alive, all coming home. Emma finally let herself cry. Morrison held her while she shook. "We did it," he whispered. "You did it. Tara did it. She kept me alive to do it." The rescued arrived over 2 days. Emma met each one, saw herself reflected in their hollow eyes, their disbelief at freedom. The last was a Marine, Sergeant David Park, missing 3 years. "They told us about you," he said. "Other prisoners whispered about the 2 women who never broke. You became a legend." "We weren't legends. We were just scared kids trying to survive." That's what legends are. A year after rescue, Emma stood at Arlington again. Not for a funeral this time, but for a memorial. A monument to the missing, the sold, the abandoned. 43 names carved in black granite, including those still unaccounted for. Emma traced Tara's name with her fingers. 37 found, she whispered. 6 still missing. But I'm not done. I'll never be done. Morrison stood beside her, sober 387 days. She'd be proud. She'd be annoyed it took so long. They laughed, remembering Tara's impatience, her determination. Boyd approached with Sharp and Coleman. "Emma, there's something you need to know. The President's signing the Mitchell-Hawkins Act tomorrow." "The what?" "Legislation requiring immediate investigation of any missing personnel. No one gets written off. No one gets abandoned. Named for you and Tara." Emma looked at Diane Mitchell, who stood by her daughter's grave, finally having something more than just loss. "She saved me," Emma told them. "In that cellar, dying, she saved me every day. Made me eat when she was starving. Made me drink when she was dehydrated. Made me believe we'd make it when she knew she wouldn't." "You saved each other," Morrison said. "No." Emma pulled out the piece of fabric with its bloody marks. 1,826 days. She saved me. I just survived to tell about it. That night, Emma returned to her apartment. The walls still covered with maps, but now half had red X's through them. Prisoners found, brought home. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Hawkins? This is Sergeant Park's mother. I just wanted to say thank you. You didn't stop looking. When everyone else gave up, you didn't stop. That's everything. After the call, Emma opened Tara's journal to the last entry. Emma will blame herself when I die. She'll carry guilt that isn't hers. But here's the truth. She gave me purpose. Protecting her, keeping her alive, it made my suffering mean something. We came here as strangers. We're leaving as sisters. She doesn't know how strong she is, but she'll learn. The world will learn. I love you, Em. Save them all. Emma closed the journal, looked at the remaining faces on her wall. 6 still missing. I'm trying, Tara, she said to the empty room. I'm trying. Her phone buzzed. Coleman knew intelligence, possible location for one of the 6. Emma grabbed her files, headed out into the night. The count continued, would always continue. Not days anymore, but lives. 37 saved. 6 to go. She thought about Tara's promise that Emma would burn down the network that sold them. It was burning. Slowly, methodically, but burning. And Emma would keep lighting matches until every last prisoner came home, until every wall stopped accumulating scratches, until no one else died forgotten in the dark. She owed Tara that much. She owed them all that much. The mission continued. 2 years after rescue. Emma stood before another congressional committee, this time as Deputy Director of the newly formed Office of Missing Personnel Recovery. 41 of 43 known trafficked Americans had been recovered. 2 had died before rescue could reach them. Morrison sat in the gallery, now running a nonprofit supporting rescued prisoners. Sober 3 years. He wore Tara's wedding ring on a chain around his neck. Director Hawkins, the senator addressed her. Your office has requested increased funding. Yes, Senator, we have credible intelligence on 17 more missing personnel, not just Americans, allies, civilians, journalists. The war is winding down. Wars end. The abandoned don't. She presented her case with the same steady determination that had kept her alive for 1,826 days. The committee approved the funding. Outside, Emma found Diane Mitchell waiting. She'd be so proud, Diane said. Emma hugged her, the mother who'd lost a daughter, who'd gained another. 43 days, Emma said. What? That's how long Tara survived after she got sick. 43 days of dying, and she still protected me, still kept me strong. She loved you? She saved me, over and over in ways I'm still discovering. That night, Emma visited Arlington one last time before flying to Pakistan for another recovery operation. She knelt at Tara's headstone. Tara Mitchell Morrison Specialist, U.S. Army daughter, wife, sister, hero, forever. Emma left a small stone on top, a tradition Tara had taught her from her Jewish grandmother. Stones to show someone had visited, remembered. The headstone was covered in stones, hundreds of them, from Morrison, from Diane, from rescued prisoners who knew they owed their freedom to Tara's sacrifice. 43 found, 6 still missing, Emma whispered. I won't stop. That's my promise, my forever. The wind picked up, rustling through Arlington's endless rows. For a moment, Emma could almost hear Tara's laugh, feel her presence. Then she walked away, toward the waiting car, toward the plane, toward the missing, still counting days on walls. The mission never ended. The count went on, for Tara, for all of them, forever.